Hello, dear friends. This Christmas is not just a holiday, it is a period of preparation. Opinion piece, age of disclosure, wall of silence. This is our time. The Great Claim, secret programs, BRICS Gold Pact, decline of Europe, return to divine order, secret technological warfare. Let's start. An 80-year global cover-up of non-human intelligent life, the recovery of crashed spacecraft, and extraterrestrial bodies is the subject of the documentary directed by Dan Farah titled The Age of Disclosure, based on interviews with 34 high-ranking officials from defense, intelligence, and Congress, including Luis Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, Jay Stratton, and Marco Rubio. Dan Farah reveals secret programs operating outside presidential control, with powerful contractors controlling non-human technology, and describes a cold race for reverse engineering between US, Russia, and China, with incidents such as Roswell, Aguadilla, the Tic-Tac phenomenon, and nuclear penetrations. He also highlights UFO's interest in nuclear sites, the biological effects of their energy fields, the discovery of many non-human species, and possible deliberate gifts of technology, while bureaucracy blocked investigations and Marco Rubio wanted about corporate control of technology. The documentary is divided into 3 parts. The first presents historical evidence of unidentified anomalous phenomena, such as the 2004 Tic-Tac encounter with naval pilots from the USS Nimitz, who described objects performing impossible maneuvers. The second part exposes institutional cover-up through secret programs like the Legacy program, and the third part makes a call for disclosure. Claim. According to Rob Cunningham, sovereignty originates from God, is delegated to his sons and daughters, and is exercised through free will, not granted by courts, financial corporations, or any man-made system that claims to replace divine order. We have been taught to fear the world's systems more than to trust the Creator's laws. We have been conditioned to submit to legal fictions, linguistic spells, regulatory priesthoods, and for-profit centers of power masquerading as legitimate authority. This is the deception Jesus faced when he overturned the tables of the money changers, the false priesthood of his day. Humanity is awakening to the truth that no court supersedes the Creator, no corporation supersedes natural law, and no statute supersedes the sovereign individual aligned with divine principles. The moment we remember our divine identity, every false throne crumbles. Babylon does not fall because it is attacked, but because it is exposed. This great reclaiming is not rebellion, it's restoration. It's the return to divine order, where human beings walk as sovereign stewards, not as institutional subjects, where culture reflects the principles of heaven, not human deception, and where truth, not coercion, is the governing force in human affairs. The kingdom of God is not far off. It is within you and me. Rise up, reclaim, and restore. This is our inheritance. This is our jurisdiction. This is our moment. Reset news. The X22 report states that everything is about to change in the world as a harbinger of a great awakening, where adversarial forces are exposed and neutralized. The BRICS Gold Pact is expanding to 33 nations, promoting commodity-backed agreements and new metals exchange. The Shanghai International Gold Exchange is the cornerstone of liquidation and reduces reliance on the London Metal Exchange. The phrase, "be prepared for what you will find," from the film The Godfather Part 3, pact, alludes to disturbing discoveries such as corruption, betrayals, and spiritual emptiness. It also evokes the awakening of hidden realities of global power and the special operations to expose the swamp. According to Judy Pinkton, the global financial system has been collapsing since November 28, 2025. In her view, new gold-backed revalue exchange rates would come into effect this month and be announced to the public in 2026. The gold-backed QFS was created to replace the banking system that has controlled the world for centuries. This decentralized system was created to eliminate central banks and their control over finance. It also announces that the Saint-Germain Trust Fund was released on Saturday, December 6th, for humanitarian programs, but there is no confirmation of this news. There is a wall of silence from the media. Those coordinating this transition don't want to alert malicious actors or sow panic until everything is ready. They know it will be irreversible once they make it public. The operation is unfolding as planned, quietly, strategically, and in anticipation of public opinion. The reset is not a policy change or a monetary adjustment. It is a structural reconstruction of the system. All the important institutions are aware of what is happening, but no one will publicly acknowledge it at this stage. The transition is designed to be executed without mass panic or premature speculation. The current period was chosen because public attention is focused on family, travel, and celebrations. This is the ideal time for teams to finalize the structural components of the new financial era without interference. The coming weeks will not only be for celebration, but also for positioning. Those who have been following the signs understand the magnitude of what is unfolding. The transition is not approaching, it's already underway. Prediction: economic reset in January 2026. Ethan White of Gaystellar predicts an economic reset in January 2026, with redemption centers to exchange bonds and exotic currencies at high rates through the QFS, while banks conceal information to avoid collapse. He also predicts debt elimination in 209 countries, without mass chaos in February 2026. This Christmas is not just a holiday, it is a time for preparation. The most significant realignment in financial history is happening silently, without media coverage, pressure, or warnings, only covert, safe, and irreversible action. People believe that banks held money, they held the people. They were systems of behavioral control. Your loan approval was based on behavioral tests. Your digital fingerprint was sold to behavior prediction algorithms. By 2020, every major central bank had a plan to phase out physical cash, mesh medical records with spending habits, and link identity verification with behavioral compliance. The next step was scheduled for 2026, until Trump returned and derailed their agenda. The elite system lost its immunity when the expansion of redemption centers was given the green light in the first quarter of 2025. These are not unregulated money transfer centers, as Reuters claims. They are gateways to freedom anchored in gold and synchronized with the QFS, and banks cannot access them. Redemption centers are described as secret facilities for exchanging exotic currency and bonds at high rates, releasing sized humanitarian funds for keeping debts and triggering a global financial reset. These centers operate entirely independently of official structures, with no diversion of interest, no asset freezes, no embezzlement, no surveillance, no delays, and non-human tracking infrastructure. The vaults in Zurich, Lugano, and Turin, linked to post-World War II financial contingency plans, are being emptied. These facilities were designed to back up emergency liquidity channels in case the fiduciary framework failed. Now they are being looted by their own creators. Global media censorship orders were issued, instructing the media to discredit redemption narratives and reinforce central banking stability. These same networks pushed for lockdowns and digital ID compliance. It is the same structure and the same architecture collapsing. When the fiduciary structure collapses, you will either align yourself with the new current or be sucked into the blackout of the old one. That's why the elite are panicking, not because they are losing control of money, but because they have lost control over who can receive it, who can hold it, who can move it, and who can build with it. Europe. Elon Musk's comment advocating for the abolition of the European Union is interpreted as a way to dismantle the European Central Bank and free the economy from centralized bureaucratic excesses. The doctrine on Europe is the U.S. national security strategy, published on December 5, 2025, views the continent as a declining ally and argues that Washington should support sovereignist forces in Europe, seek a ceasefire in Ukraine, and restore strategic stability with Russia. The document describes Europe as a weakened partner in economic decline and threatened by the potential annihilation of its civilization due to demographic trends and internal politics. It also presents the European elite as an obstacle and criticizes the European Union for restricting political freedoms. It also criticizes the European Union for undermining the political freedom and sovereignty of member states through transnational regulations, censorship of free speech, and suppression of political opposition, which it argues is accelerating Europe's civilization demise in 20 years or less. It accuses the EU of censoring dissenting voices, repressing the opposition and isolating sovereignist parties, while promoting instead a regulatory stranglehold that limits each country's national identity. The text also questions the idea of NATO as perpetually expanding alliance, implying that Washington wants to place limits on new memberships, including Ukraine. The US wants to negotiate a cessation of hostilities in Ukraine to stabilize the European economy, prevent further escalation, and restore strategic stability with Russia. The text encourages cultivating resistance against the continent's current course, so that Europe may remain European. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.